Hey guys, Tara here for Rev3 Games, and today I have Joel Eschler from 2K Australia and James Lopez from Gearbox with me. You guys are both producers on Borderlands, the pre-sequel, which is really exciting. I've been a huge Borderlands fan since day one. I'm curious why you guys decided to sort of stray away from the numbered sequels and go back in time with this one.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting as we were talking about the name of this game. We were originally kind of talking about 1.5, 1.5. I even saw a placard once which was Borderlands Route 3/2. While technically, in terms of story, it is 1.5, it's set between 1 and 2. We didn't want to confuse people because this is a full brand new game with new characters and all new features and everything. 1.5 could imply that it isn't this full-fledged product. So we wanted to think of something else, and Borderlands being what it is, the universe it's set in, it's a prequel, it's a sequel. The pre-sequel just kind of made sense in that stupid way that is awesome for Borderlands. So as soon as I think someone muttered that name, that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be refocusing again on Handsome Jack in this game. Are we going to want to be his friend? Are we going to sympathize with him in this game?
Well, I would say sort of. We're not trying to make any excuses for who he becomes, but we did kind of want to explain of where he came from and why. Jack starts off as being very well-intentioned, and even though he is obviously a monster in Borderlands 2, he still kind of really believes in what he's doing. He has a rationale behind it that you can kind of see where he's come from, even though it's intrinsically wrong.
He's a little bit lovable.
Yeah,
he's charming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're trying to show is what had to happen for him to kind of take that leap from who he was to what he becomes.
Okay. And you guys have 4 new playable characters, and from what I understand, a lot of these were characters from previous games and DLCs and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's correct. We have Athena, who players were first introduced to in Borderlands 1 DLC, the General Knox DLC. Obviously, Claptrap's been around since the beginning. And then we also have Wilhelm and Nisha, who are some of the bosses from Borderlands 2.
What is playing Claptrap like? Because you guys, the first time I saw this game, everyone was super secretive about Claptrap being a playable character. Is he are we gonna want to play as anybody else?
So people won't actually be able to see, but off camera we have someone holding a gun to us in case we mutter anything about Claptrap. We're really kind of holding on to Claptrap's action skill and what it's like to play him for later on. But it's pretty amazing. I've been playing with him exclusively the last couple of weeks, and it's hilarious and amazing.
Yeah. I always kind of assumed that he was the secret genius of the group. So you guys, the game takes place not on Pandora anymore. We're on this moon with this Hyperion moon base. What kind of new gameplay advancements is that going to allow for?
So when we started developing this game, it was going to be set on the Moonshot facility where a lot of fans had wanted the series to go to for the next iteration. And when we thought about the moon, we thought about what players would expect, what are these moon promises. And low gravity was the first one that we thought of. And the other one was kind of low atmosphere. There's no atmosphere you can see around that moon. So we wanted to take these systems and integrate them fully into the game. So the low gravity, it completely changes how it feels to play Borderlands. I mean, you can jump much further, you can cross distances much quicker. With the oxygen system, you can actually boost by expelling oxygen, so boost yourself forward or even get higher. So it just means that the spaces are much more vertical. You're going to be fighting enemies which are much higher, traversing these really big towers all over the place. So it fundamentally changes the movement and kind of the gameplay. You can also do this really cool attack called a slam. So you can get up really high, and then if you hold crouch, you just slam down to the ground, do this area of effect attack, which can take out a bunch of enemies at once.
It's funny because Borderlands is such a crazy, packed shooter. There's so much going on at any given point in time, but you guys have found a way to make it even crazier, and I think the verticality is a really big contributor to that. You guys also have some new elements in there. The Cryo one, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the Cryo elemental is a freezing element. It replaces slag in this game because slag is something that occurs in Borderlands 2, which obviously since it's the pre-sequel, that hasn't occurred yet. You can expect the Cryo Elemental to freeze enemies. It's pretty straightforward, but we've added layers to that as well. It's not just about freezing enemies, it's about being able to shatter them, which is really satisfying. You can slash them to shatter them, you can use the slam attack to break them. It's a really great way to address the verticality of enemies as well, because if an enemy's flying above you and you can freeze them, they'll fall to the ground, and if you did enough damage, they'll shatter. It takes care of itself, and you can just keep moving. We're really trying to go for something that's very, very viscerally satisfying. And like you said, we are trying to expand the combat in Borderlands. We want each iteration, every entry in this franchise to feel like it's building off of everything that came before. We don't want people to ever feel like we're sort of backpedaling to something that's old.
So then I assume that there's probably way more guns in this one than there have been in the past.
Well, yes. I mean, we've added not only a new element, but we've also added a new gun type. We've added lasers, which is supported by some of the manufacturers. They have their own behaviors. Each laser also supports all the different elements. So we're adding an entirely new layer to the loot system.
You guys also have oxygen now, which is something that you're going to have to keep up the entire game, I assume, unless you're in inside areas.
Yeah, but I'll let Joel kind of answer that because this kind of ties to the Oz kits.
Yeah, so there is a new piece of gear called the Oz Kit, and it gives you the oxygen tank, which allows you to breathe in no atmosphere. It puts this bubble above your head. It also allows you to do the boost and the slam. But it was really important to us when we were building this oxygen system that it wasn't just there for the sake of being a resource for players to manage. There's plenty of oxygen sources on the moon and on the space station. You have these natural vents, you have geysers which propel you up into the air. Enemies drop oxygen when you kill them. You have oxygen generators, you can loot it. So it's not really a resource that players are going to have to monitor all that much. It's really about giving you more tactics and more cool things to do. It's really just about adding more fun to the game. Kind of jumping and boosting all over the place. But yeah, so when you're out on the surface of the moon, you are going to have to get oxygen and use oxygen for your attacks. When you're inside, when you're on the moonshot facility, I mean, it's still a work in progress. That moonshot facility isn't quite finished by Hyperion yet. So there are going to be some spaces which are kind of devoid of oxygen, possibly devoid of gravity as well, where you'll be able to have the oxygen generators and kind of use those tactically all over the place too.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of games try to do this kind of thing where you have to maintain some health function or something, and it kind of consumes the game a little bit. But it seems like, I mean, just from my 10 or so minutes of playing that, it's something that you know is there, but you're not constantly monitoring it.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like there's a good balance there.
Yeah, we only ever want to bring in features to Borderlands that makes the game more fun. And if you're worrying about oxygen constantly, then that's not fun. And another thing about the low gravity in the oxygen system, it allows you to explore further. So like you can have hard to find loot, which is at the top of this really crazy peak or tower. And if it looks like you can get up there, then you probably can boost your way up there. And we don't want players to have to then go back down and get oxygen. We want to make sure that they have every opportunity to do the cool stuff.
Well, you guys recently announced that this is coming out October 14th. Typically, I feel like there's a little bit more of a time between when you guys announce a game and when it comes out. Can we expect the same amount or level of content from this as previous Borderlands games?
Yeah, I mean, we're releasing a full-fledged game. It's not just about having a new campaign. It's about having entirely new settings. It's about having 4 new playable characters, new enemy types, new loot. We're adding a lot more to this than one would expect in something like an expansion.
Okay, well, October 14th, guys. I'm super excited, and I know I am not the only one. So I guess I'll be getting hands-on with this again at E3 if I can help it. And,
yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.